Monster Hunter Wilds just released this week, and aside from the glaring performance issues that almost everyone seems to be struggling with, this game is pretty damn good. It feels like Capcom took everything that worked in World and improved on it to deliver an experience which distills Monster Hunter into a cool, streamlined package. If you're unfamiliar with Monster Hunter, it's a game series revolving around one central mechanic, that being monster hunting. You take on various assignments and investigations where you slay these giant creatures and then use them to slay after you turn them into armor and weapons. The premise is simple, and Wilds executes it near flawlessly. For the first time in Monster Hunter, we have a fully open world, kind of, sort of. You tell me. The game's 5 major regions are technically all connected, though you'll be using separate maps for them and will mostly stick to fast travel, making this kind of a hybrid of the traditional open world segments you'd expect from Monster Hunter and a typical open world. The game ditches the concept of a singular hub area and focuses on having various campsites throughout the different biomes, something which helps strengthen the game's traveling motif. Wilds is set in the Forbidden Lands, an area to the east of the region seen in previous Monster Hunter games that is long thought to have been devoid of civilization. A research team surveying the perimeter of these lands stumble across Nada, a boy who seemingly came from within them. This serves as the catalyst for the game's narrative as you seek to return him to his people and uncover the mystery of his village's destruction. For the most part, the story's pretty good. At times it can feel a little ridiculous.
I don't know which of us is worse.
Bro, it's not that deep.
Nada's completely put through the ringer though, so it's a valid crash out. The main campaign that gets you through the entirety of low rank is at a fairly breakneck pace, and I found it was really hard to go off and do my own thing when I was pulled in so many different directions by the main quest. It isn't until you beat the game that you really get offered any side quests, which does help with staying on task, but I feel it severely limits your freedom for the first dozen hours. Like any Monster Hunter game, Wilds really starts to open up once you get to the coveted high rank. The ranking system allows you to fight the same monsters you fought at the start of the game with increased difficulty and expanded movesets, ensuring that no battle becomes trivialized by the time you have some decent gear. High rank has its own associated story quests that serve as a sort of epilogue, and a bunch of unique monsters not seen at all during low rank. Really, the story's just dipping your toes in, but the longevity of Monster Hunter comes from the hours and hours you can sink into completing various assignments and raising your hunter rank, all while crafting new high rank armor sets. And man, the armor is cool. I know some of it's from previous games, but Monster Hunter always knocks it out of the park with their armor design for both you and your Palico. Though I won't lie, there were times in the campaign where the armor combos with the highest stats looked pretty stupid on my character, but that's to be expected. At the time being, there isn't an insane amount of high rank content, but such is the nature of Monster Hunter. We're sure to get title updates throughout the next couple of years that introduce brand new monsters and returning ones too. And I'd be surprised if there wasn't a follow-up expansion a la Iceborne or Sunbreak. At times, this game is absolutely stunning. The art direction is on point and the graphics can look absolutely fantastic in the right conditions. But a lot of the time the game is kind of, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good enough to justify frying your GPU. The optimization here is laughable and for fairly average returns. Some textures are low res even on max settings with the HD textures enabled, so it's kind of ridiculous.
Why y'all keep on saying the iPhone better than Android? It's just as good and it has the same amount of quality.
It doesn't exactly help that the game opens in what is effectively a dull monochrome sandstorm for the first handful of hours before introducing any color. But let me tell you, the gameplay here is still solid. I use the insect glaive as my main weapon, and while I didn't experiment too much with others, I can attest that the combat still feels incredibly fluid and is an absolute joy. Sticking with the precedent set in Generation 5 of the series, Wilds doesn't introduce any new weapons, but it continues to design monsters that feel balanced no matter what you're playing, for the most part. Ironically, I found that the final boss of low rank was incredibly easy with the glaive, so much so that I beat without really needing to heal at all, though difficulty's another topic altogether. This game is kind of easy, though that's not really a problem. You make your own difficulty, and if you want more of a challenge, feel free to switch up your gear or leave your Palico behind next time you take on a hunt. The game is mainly just easy during low rank, and by high rank reaches a more moderate level of difficulty. I didn't have any hunts that really exceed the 15-minute mark until I hit high rank, but I welcome the challenge. The lower difficulty is likely due to 2 main factors, one being the generous stat improvements armor and weapons give you in addition to the relatively low HP pools for monsters, and the other being the new wound system. Now, in terms of gameplay gimmicks, this one's pretty cool. Attacking a monster enough in the same spot will open a wound, where you can target all your energy and land a precision strike to stun the creature and deal large amounts of damage. In the case of the glaive, it also provides additional benefits such as fully refilling your Kinsect charges, making it a pretty essential mechanic. The thing is, it's almost too overpowered, and you can easily get into a flow of repeatedly stunning the monster over and over again. On the one hand, it's easy to create your own challenge by choosing to go with worse armor, but exploiting the wound system is just too good to pass up. It'd probably benefit from a nerf, maybe just put a cooldown on the stunning that wounds can do so you don't actively stun lock your opponent. That being said, it does feel pretty good when you're in that flow state, so I'm a little divided on that. I think with Rise's Wirebug and K9 mechanics, Capcom started to realize just how much people value good mobility, and with a whole open world at our disposal, traversal has become more important than ever. That's where the Sacred comes in. Wilds' signature mount allows you to navigate new environments with ease ease and has a super cool built-in navigation system, auto-routing you to whatever target you have selected. This is not only convenient, but useful during catch-up segments of hunts where your target starts running, as your sacred will navigate the terrain in the most efficient way possible while you get to chain heals or use your whetstone. Each of the main regions are super fun and all create this cohesive ecosystem. The final region in particular has some really cool lore associated with it, and also contains some awesome takes on returning monsters through the Guardians. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but these monsters get pretty crazy with their new Wilk-based mechanics. Or, if you want to be pedantic, the new Wyvern Milk-based mechanics. It's an odd name to say the least, and I think I'll stick to saying Wilk. The story does actually insist on using the full name a fair bit, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't unsettle me.
Where is the Wyvern milk produced?
The plot focuses on killing the White Wraith, a big scary Wilk monster which is big and scary, yada yada. This is a Monster Hunter game, you're not here for the story. That being said, the cutscenes are super well animated and have some really badass moments, especially pertaining to the apex predator of the region. And of course, the food looks sublime as always, which makes me a little sad there's no head chef in this one, and you really just have to cook for yourself. You do get pings every now and then that someone else wants to share a meal with you, but damn, I miss the Meowskiller chef. They probably cut the game's budget in half doing away with him though. Other NPCs like the Handler have been drastically improved from their world counterparts. The Handler will now follow you around as you participate in hunts, collecting research and allowing you to easily start a quest whenever you want in a way that makes her feel like an actual handler and not just another character you could spend real life money buying outfits for. Though they must have coded her pathfinding before they coded the fishing mechanics, because oh my god, get out of my way, you're scaring them off. There's also a handful of other characters like Rove, Gemma, Olivia, and Tom York, but they all serve their standard purposes, allowing you to trade, craft gear, and more. Though there is a new ability to build pop-up camps, allowing you to have various travel points throughout each biome, which I thought was neat. Multiplayer Monster Hunter is some of the best Monster Hunter, but Wilds makes it weirdly convoluted. Now, I don't recall any Monster Hunter game where multiplayer is necessarily easy, but you'd think they'd be able to crack it by now. You have these things called link parties, which allow you to automatically join your friend's quest after they start fighting a monster. There's also environment links, which allow you to explore the open world together, but they're region locked, and once again enforce the idea that this game is only really pseudo open world. What really sucks is the fact that the story can in theory be played out in multiplayer, but in execution, it doesn't really work out. To play the story concurrently with a friend, one of you needs to quit their fight to join the others after you've both watched the cutscene, leading to a really confusing, convoluted system that gets even worse if you throw more players into the mix. I don't get why we couldn't just start missions together. Why is inviting a friend only possible once the battle has started? It's needlessly complicated and gives me a headache. But when it works, it really does work, which makes it all the more frustrating. Monster Hunter is perfect with friends, though is a real pain to get going until you finish the campaign. The music is just spectacular though. I'm sure that was to be expected, but I love how some of the new tracks include synths and techno elements to reflect the Guardians' Wilk properties. The creative direction is honestly firing on all cylinders. The standard new monsters are inventive and really fun in their own right, while the apex predators are terrifying forces of nature to be reckoned with. Just incredible design all around. But now it's time to acknowledge the 12 FPS elephant in the room, Capcom, who absolutely fumbled the PC launch of this game.
I think you can't get a finished product without all the components coming together.
AAA games never seem to launch in a good state. It seems like a miracle when a game comes out and it just works on arrival, and unfortunately Wilds wasn't one of those rare miracles. Performance issues have plagued this game's launch, and while they can be patched out, the precedent has been set and they will continue to launch like this, which is a real shame. As well as that, I don't like the way that Capcom goes about monetizing the series through microtransactions. As of right now, the game has over $60 worth of purchasable DLC, and it came out a week ago. We're talking about a $70 game here. These levels of corporate greed need to be studied. Though, despite it all, Wilds is a very good Monster Hunter game and one I really do recommend. I would probably advise giving it some time and seeing that the performance issues are properly addressed first though. Monster Hunter Wilds is one of those games you can keep chipping away at for hundreds of hours, and a good one at that. The new-ish open world system helps make ecosystems feel more interconnected rather than maps you just float on off to. The direction is absolutely incredible, and the game just makes you feel cool. The series keeps improving with each new game, and Wilds is an awesome successor to World that I wholeheartedly recommend. So, is it easier than other Monster Hunter games? Sure. But is it too easy? I'd probably say no. There's still a ton here to enjoy, and it's one hell of a time. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and join my Monster Hunter squad. The code's on screen. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time where oh my god, is that a frog on his head? Aw, I'm just gonna...